Calaroga Shark Media.
Make 1230 great again. Hi, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. David Letterman, who's on the wrong side of all the issues these days. He's supporting Seth Meyers, whereas the president and I are aligned that NBC 1230 could be a lot funnier. Letterman also out there letting Adam Sandler believe he's the least bit funny. I don't know what to do with this. I'm actually getting increasingly mad with Mike from the Letterman podcast, and I'm in his ear that he needs to rebrand his show as the Conan podcast and celebrate the true greatness of 1230 comedy now that Dave has just lost his way. And, I don't know what Jimmy Fallon did on that show, and Seth, forget about it. So, Mike, the Conan podcast, think about it. I think you need to consider it. David Letterman is still out there putting out work. Dave has announced another season of My Next Guest Needs No Introduction with David Letterman. New season, December 16th. Michael B. Jordan is the guest, and my wife has the hots for Michael B. Jordan, so I'm not going to tell her that episode even exists. Then I find this interesting. Mr. Beast, and then they tell us Mr. Beast's real name is Jimmy Donaldson. I thought your guest needs no introduction. Which is it, David Letterman? And Jason Bateman will be the final guest of the whopping 3-episode season. For some reason, the Sandler episode, not part of the official season. I don't know how any of this works. I don't care. Dave, come back home. Dave, you want to press me? I don't care about the return of Eddie Murphy. Here's what I want Dave to do. David Letterman, I'm calling you out. I want you to find a tower somewhere and throw a watermelon off it. Just one watermelon. That's all I need out of you. Just to know that my David Letterman is still in there somewhere. Now, the original 5-story tower has been torn down, but I'm sure we can find another 5-story tower if you want. If you want to come over to my house and throw a watermelon off the house at me, I'll let you do that. As long as I can record the audio. Now, in these trying times where some things are getting worse, some things are getting better, Sesame Street has found its fastball. I'm really excited about this. You know Sesame Street is on Netflix right now? Yeah. No more PBS. It's on Netflix, and they're doing a cross-promotion to promote this Knives Out movie that I think it's out today. If you've ever seen a Knives Out movie, Daniel Craig plays Benoit Blanc. Well, he plays Beignet Blanc on a Knives Out parody on Sesame Street. Let's listen.
Someone ate me triple berry pie!
Aw, no one touched my sardine pie.
This a mystery only the world's greatest detective can solve.
Beignet Blanc!
What?
I have arrived to this street of Sesame on a sunny day turned cloudy. We have a culinary culprit in our oven mitts, and to solve this confectionery conundrum, we must look right in front of our googly eyes at Cookie Monster.
Oh, wait, we're not doing that whole Gatsby thing?
Well, it makes sense. Cookie Monster does love sweet treats.
Yes.
Now, that was pretty good, and like most things on modern Sesame Street, it got ruined by Elmo. I mean, that is just the story of Elmo. President Trump, why don't you do something about Sesame Street? I don't know what you're doing all day. I appreciate you helping to make 1230 great again, and I applaud your efforts there. You and I are not aligned on all the issues, but you've done nothing about Patton Oswalt and Star Trek so far, and I think you need to do something about Sesame Street. Sesame Street in the 70s was wonderful, and then Elmo came along, and you should do something about that, Mr. President. I digress. Some people want Knives Out filmmaker Rian Johnson to make an official Muppets version, which would be epic. This probably as close as we'll ever get. Johnson had told the Hollywood Reporter's Awards Chatter podcast that he respects both the Muppet movies and Knives Out to mix them. He says that now. Come back in 20 years when he needs a paycheck. He says the reality is if you put Muppets in a Benoit Blanc movie, it would feel totally wrong because they would be getting murdered. The alternative is just to stick Benoit into a Muppet movie, which admittedly would be very fun, but would kind of break the reality of what Blanc is, which is to say I'd love to just do a regular awesome Muppet movie. No. Look, it's a movie. We can all handle it. We can all understand that there's no reality to this thing. We can handle it. Make this. President Trump, get on that. Bert Kreischer. I like what Bert Kreischer's doing here. He will headline the first full Throttle Festival during the Daytona 500 weekend. Have you ever been to Daytona? I got to go twice. I got what's called a hot pass. What a hot pass is you can be on pit road during the actual race. So I would be standing at NASCAR races. Sirius had the rights to NASCAR, and I got to go to a bunch of races as part of the cross promotion with Blue Collar Radio. I found myself in Talladega one day with Jeff Foxworthy. But you're standing there, and because you have a pass that says the word hot on it, you have all access. It's like sitting in the dugout in the World Series. So I was there and I was like, I appreciate this, but I know I'm not appreciative, because I was looking at all these people in the stands and I'm like, oh boy, if those people who like truly appreciate, I'm from Queens. I didn't grow up on NASCAR. Those people, boy, if they could be in my spot, they would lose their mind. I thought it was really cool and I was thankful, but I was just like, boy, this is the equivalent of me sitting in the Mets dugout in the World Series. Not that the Mets would ever be in the World Series, but I could fantasize. I had a great time. I met this dude. I've got a great picture. He was dressed head to toe in Budweiser gear. I guess he was a Dale Earnhardt Jr. fan, and he had a cooler. And the other thing about Daytona, an hour before the race, you're allowed to sit on the track. I've got a picture of me sitting on the track drinking a Budweiser an hour before the race of the Daytona 500. So I love the Daytona 500. I have digressed again. Bert Kreischer will headline the first Full Throttle Festival during Daytona 500 weekend. Held February 14th, happy Valentine's Day, honey, at the Ocean Center. The festival will include barbecue, beer, and NASCAR-themed attractions. This sounds awesome. Tickets start at $75, fullthrottlepestival.com, touted as an all-night party that brings together live music, stand-up comedy, beer, and barbecue under one massive roof. Kreischer will be joined by Leonard Skinnard and renowned DJ producer and former Daytona Beach area resident Diplo. 7 p.m. to 1 a.m., Bert Kreischer said, race weekend in Daytona is the Super Bowl of speed, and for me, that means going absolutely massive, so I figured, why not partner with NASCAR and build the biggest, wildest, greatest pre-race party ever? We're bringing a rock show, a country show, a comedy show, and the kind of barbecue and beer that would make a pit crew chief proud. Love it. So much fun. And to wash all this down, as if this wasn't fun enough, the Great American Beer Hall will feature an expansive craft beer program and domestic favorites with signature cocktails available at bars in the venue. Tickets to the Daytona 500 are not required to attend the festival. Sounds really cool. Paul F. Tompkins has weighed in on cake versus pie and says cake will always be superior to pie. Yeah, the truth hurts, pie people. Cake will always be superior to pie for one very simple reason: frosting. You all forgot about the frosting. Every once in a while, I get some pathetic little pie person saying something like, well, you could put whipped cream on a pie. Whipped cream? Don't make me laugh. You've embarrassed the both of us with that answer. You put whipped cream up against frosting? Love it. Here's how good frosting is. When you eat it directly out of the can, you feel shame. Must be it's pretty good, because you're not supposed to eat it that way. What are you going to put, pie filling up against frosting? Patton Oswalt, who is helping to ruin Star Trek with his awful Doug the Vulcan character. President Trump, please get on this. Forbes asked Patton why the title of his special Black Coffee and Ice Water does not appear in the special. And Patton said that he never puts them in the special. And I was like, yeah, who does that? Nobody does that. Do people do that? I hope not. Patton explained that it's kind of the overall mood. The title is more of the mood, but you never hear anything with the title in it. Patton explained, I usually generate about an hour and a half of material every year, and I just done a ton of films and TV shows, including ruining Star Trek, and a lot of traveling, and my life wasn't focused on stand-up for a while. Maybe a little less Doug the Vulcan and a little more stand-up, just saying. And along with that was how hallucinatory and illogical the world is becoming around us. And as a comedian, how do you take a step aside away from that and go, I'm going to go make fun of this thing that's already kind of comedy-proof in a weird way because it's already so messed up. So there's a lot of that feeling in this. And on top of that, this was not a visual special. That's right. This is an audio special on Audible. I was so much freer to perform and just have it be in the material. When you're doing a special, you're thinking of the camera angles, the wardrobe lighting, how does it look? You have all that in mind. It's everything but the material. But this is just me. People are going to hear my voice and hear the audience and how we're both relating. Being that stripped down and that simple for me was just fantastic. Get your nominations in for Comedy Survivor. What we're going to do in January is every week we're going to vote one comedian off the island. So I need your nominations for who should be on Comedy Survivor. And again, remember, the point isn't who wins, it's the journey. So give me good names so I have material to work with. Go to Facebook, Daily Comedy News Podcast Group, and throw your names in. I'll reveal on Monday who's going to be on the island. Comedy Gives Back is a nonprofit that acts as the safety net of the comedy world. They've announced a new annual fundraising effort, the Very Good Person Year-End Giving Campaign. Donations will address the challenges faced by comedians, including mental health struggles, physical health, and financial instability, through various initiatives, including therapy grants, financial assistance programs, recovery meetings, and educational workshops. The org aims to ensure that stand-ups at all stages of their career receive the support they need. Zoe Friedman is the organization's executive director and co-founder. Zoe said, people know the Kevin Harts and the Bert Kreischers of the world, but for every household name, there are hundreds of working comedians you've never heard of who are grinding it out to bring laughter to the world. Those are the comedians Comedy Gives Back exists to support. Zoe was a guest on episode 185 of the still titled Letterman podcast. Again, I'm hoping Mike will rename this the Conan podcast and accept the greatness of 1230. And, sometimes you got to leave people behind. There was a time when Rudy Giuliani was America's mayor and everybody in New York City loved him. A couple years went by, things changed. Giuliani started supporting Adam Sandler comedies and saying Seth Meyers was funny and, some other stuff. And now people don't like Giuliani as much as they did, say, in the early 90s when they were in their early 20s living in New York City. I mean, times change. So, Mike, please rename your podcast to the Conan Podcast and, give you some other stuff to talk about. Comedy Gives Back has granted $1 million to over 1,000 working comedians experiencing hardship since 2019. Nice job there, folks. Also, a nice job by Tracy Morgan, who said he has fed over 19,000 families. Tracy told People he has donated more than $200,000 to support vulnerable households through his work with the Hackensack Meridian Health Foundation. Tracy says it's fun to get the love and support, but it's better when you give it back. That's what I want to teach my children. More than just a great education, I want Maven and her brothers to be empathic. Tracy has a great point of view. He says, at this point in my life, spending time with my children, that's it. I don't care about nothing else in the world. Listeners to this program know that Marcelo Hernandez does two things well. Those two things are the character he does on SNL. Every single sketch he appears, you can call it Domingo, but it's all the same character. And his Sebastian Maniscalco impression. Well, now we'll see if Marcelo has a third thing he can do. He's going to be in the cast of Shrek 5. He's going to play Shrek and Fiona's son, Fergus. Now, Fergus is a Scottish name, so I assume Marcelo Hernandez is going to break out some sort of Scottish accent, right? That would make sense. Shrek 5, out June 30th, 2027. The cast includes Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, and Cameron Diaz, reprising their roles as Shrek, Donkey, and Fiona. And that is your comedy news for today. Make 1230 great again. See you tomorrow.